Hello everyone. My name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are back finally. I have taken a little bit of a hiatus from making videos. Not long, and probably not long for you because I had pre-filmed some stuff, but I'm finally feeling up to filming again, so I'm excited to be back. And I also have a backlog of videos that I need to film. So there are a couple of like staple videos every month that I'm not gonna have a chance to do. Like I'm not gonna do a TBR for the month of February because I just need to get some other videos prioritized. But I'm really excited to come back and do a belated book haul revisit for the month of January. And I did so looking at the books this month. I'm almost at 50%, so that's a good thing. And yeah, I'll be picking a book to put on my February TBR, and it's a must read for February. So let's go ahead and dive into the books that I bought in January of 2022. Okay, first book up is a success. And if you've been here before, you'll know the books that I tend to put up on the screen are the ones I have read because I don't want to go into my basement to get those again. And then the books that I hold up are typically the ones that I have not read yet. So the first one is gonna be up here because I have read it, and that is Happening by Annie Ernaux. This one is translated from the French by Tanya, and it was my first Annie Ernaux book that I read, and I really loved it. It was in my best books of the year last year. It's very slim. Many people have talked about it before. It's about her experience trying to get an abortion in France when she's younger, when it is illegal to get an abortion at that time. It's just about the everyday happenings around that event, plus also the difficulty of trying to get an abortion. And I loved it. I love her style of writing. I love the simplistic, kind of sharp, sparing prose that she does. And I read 3 other books by her after I read Happening, so clearly I enjoyed it. So that is Happening, big success, loved it, highly recommend. And I do feel like that's still my favorite Annie Ernaux book of the 4 that I've read, and that's still where I would recommend beginning if you have not read from her before. All right, next up we have another nonfiction that I have not yet read, and that is The Right to Sex by Amia Srinivasan. And it says Feminism in the 21st Century in the middle, if you can't quite see that. This is published by Picador, and I should say Happening is published by 7 Stories Press. And this one was all the rage on BookTube for a while. So many people have loved it. It's an essay collection that talks about sex, and I think a lot of it's talking about the ethical implications of certain like sexual scenarios or power dynamics within sex, things like that. And I find that fascinating. I really think I'm gonna love this. I just haven't found time to fit in this essay collection yet because I have a good amount of essay collections on my TBR shelf right now, and I've prioritized some over this, but I definitely do want to get to this at some point soon, so this might need to be one of the ones I put on my TBR. But yeah, The Right to Sex, still very interested, and yeah, picked it up mostly because I was hearing such great things about it and can't wait to get to it. I also love the simplicity of this cover, so that's an extra bonus. All right, next up we have another one I haven't read, and that is The Seas by Samantha Hunt. This is published by Tin House Books. And I definitely still want to read this, still interested, not going to unhaul it. I love this cover as well. This must have been my month of getting hyped up by other booktubers because I also purchased this because I saw it on several people's best books of the year list in the year prior. I think the one that maybe stands out most notably to me is Iggy. I'll link her channel down below, but yeah, she loved this, as I know so many other people did. And the premise I think also sounded intriguing. So it follows a young girl, maybe a teenager, in adolescence nonetheless, and she is convinced that she's a mermaid. I think there's a metaphor in there somewhere about alcoholism. I know there are several characters in this book that are struggling with alcoholism. So yeah, I think this could really work as long as the writing style connects with me. Curious about this one still, and it's very like pocket sized. It's very little. So we'll see, but definitely still interested. Next up, we have a short story collection, and that is Shit Cassandra Saw by Gwin E. Kirby. This one's published by Penguin Random House, and this cover is gorgeous in a different way. I love the title of this. I just love the audacity of it. Sometimes I can really get down with a confronting cover and title. And again, I bought this because I had heard such wonderful things about it. Plus, I will say, like, the title and the cover extra sold me. I don't know if I would have been as inclined to pick it up if it hadn't been for the title and the cover. So art design props go out to Lydia Ortiz. They sold this book to me, so thank you to them. This one says that it's Margaret Atwood meets Buffy in these funny, warm, and furious stories of women at their breaking points from Hellenic times to today. Love short stories about women. Love things that reference Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So if you know, you know. I think a couple years, right when I was first doing BookTube, I rewatched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and phenomenal, holds up for the most part. And yeah, anytime it references Buffy, I'm like, okay, I'm in. You sold me. You sold me. So that's the shit Cassandra saw. And the next book, I'm holding it up, but I have actually just recently read this. That's why I still have it here. So The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sara Gran. This is published by Dreamland Books, which Sara Gran actually owns. And like I said, this I just recently read in January, so that's why I still have it here, because I haven't done my wrap up yet for the month. So I'm keeping it around until I film that wrap up. But this one recently read, and I really enjoyed this. I'll talk about it more in my wrap up, but this has to do with a book that involves sex magic that is supposedly extremely rare, if it even exists at all, and extremely powerful. And there's a book dealer who is down on her luck. She is with a partner who needs a lot of medical help and medical expenses to go along with that. And she is just looking for some way to make money and thinks she might have found it by trying to procure this book. And that leads her on a very plotty adventure. Really captivating, enjoyed it, and you will hear more in my wrap up. But this I picked up because I had heard it was really plotty, but from people who I felt like had at least somewhat similar taste to me, and I was needing some plotty books. I feel like in the winter, I crave some of the more like compelling, propulsive literature, and this definitely hit the mark, and probably I ended up reading it in January. So yeah, that is The Book of the Most Precious Substance. Next up, we have The Family Chow by Samantha Chang, and this is published by Norton, and I picked this up as a used copy. It's also an autographed copy, which so nice for me picking it up used. There is the autograph there. And this is a mystery. I love mysteries. It's one of my favorite genre fiction books to read. This one follows, I think, a restaurant family dynasty, and the father ends up dead, and then all of the sons are immediately suspects. So yeah, sounds interesting enough to me, and this might also be a good pick. I'm sure this might be more fun of a ride, and I am needing that right now because I'm in a little bit of a reading slump. So this could also be a potentially good pick for my TBR. But that is The Family Chow. Love a good murder mystery. And then we have another book that I have read, and that is When I Sing Mountains Dance. This is by Irene Sola, and this is actually translated, but I didn't put the translator here. I'll put it down here. I read this I think in the fall last year, and I really enjoyed parts of it. I did not enjoy other parts. I specifically picked this up because it takes place somewhat in the Pyrenees Mountains, and I have a Great Pyrenees, and they're originally from the Pyrenees Mountains. And that was really the driving force, even though it has nothing to do with the plot. But the plot is about this character who dies, kind of, who knows, it is dying on a trail in the wilderness, and these spirit entities come and reanimate him. It's sort of like loosey-goosey, like you don't need to read into it all the way, you're just along for the ride. And that's how I approach the book, and I think that is useful to approach the book that way. I really enjoyed all of the nature writing. I liked feelings somewhat confused, but there were parts that I just could not trace back their lineage to the overall text itself. It just felt a little disjointed to me in that way, and so I didn't love it. Although I know lots of other people have really enjoyed this, so definitely seek out other reviews if you're still interested, because it could just be that it wasn't to my personal taste. But I did read this. I'm not disappointed that I read it, but it wasn't a huge win for me. And then we have a book that I picked up from a little free library, and that is The Latinist by Prins. And this is published by Norton as well, similar to The Family Chow. This was definitely a right place, right time for me. So I had recently just read a review about this book. I had never been interested in it before, but that person raved about it and said it was like a dark academia. Again, I think mentioned that it was plotty, and to reference myself from 2 minutes ago, in the winter, I need plottier books to kind of get me through the lethargy that I'm experiencing. And they talked about it. I saw it in the little free library like the next day and was like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. I put books in my little free library all the time. So I was like, I'm gonna grab it. And I even said in that video, if I don't read this within a year, I need to get rid of it. So for that reason alone, it might be the one that I put it on my TBR, but we'll see. We'll come back to that. But yeah, I really know very little about this. I have immediately forgotten the blurb. Oh, it's a Daphne and Apollo myth. I think that maybe is also why I was intrigued. So yeah, if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it. Who knows? Who knows? I'm considering. And then lastly, we have another book that I have read, and that is In by Will McPhail. This is a graphic work. I think it's fiction. I think it's a graphic novel, but I don't know. It's very autobiographical. I can't remember how it's classified, but it is about a young man who is trying to experience like deeper, more meaningful connection with the people around him. He takes stock of his life and realizes that a lot of his relationships are very surface level. He's not getting a lot of fulfillment out of them and is on a journey to try and see why that is. He starts trying to have different types of conversations with his sister and his mother specifically, but he also meets a woman that he starts a relationship with. The format of this I enjoyed because the parts where he is touching on this like deeper, more satisfying connection with people are in color, and then the parts where he's not are in black and white. I thought that was smart. But similarly to When I Sing Mountains Dance, this had sections that I had no clue why they were there. Like, so bizarre. Like, I feel like I talked about this in my review, but there's a section where I believe it's just like penises in jars, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think that section is in color. I don't know. It was so bizarre, and I didn't get why it was there. Like, I'm fine with that being the content, but like why? It didn't make sense with where the narrative was. Things like that, where I'm just like, okay, like it takes me out of the story because I have no idea what's going on. So maybe I just was not smart enough to figure that book out, but that one was kind of a dud for me. I do think the art was beautiful, and that can be the saving grace for me with graphic works and why I keep them, because of the art style. So I think I did keep this, but the story in and of itself I found to be a little bit lacking. So yeah, those are the books. So I had 9 books in total. I have read 4 of them. I have not read 5 of them. So we're close to 50%, which is what I tend to try and hit with these. But now we're going to pick the book that I need to read in February. So I have these 5 to choose from. So let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you're really pulling for, because I can switch it last minute. I make the rules, but this is hard. So I think the 2 that I'm thinking of most are The Latinist and The Family Chow. The Latinist because I told myself if I didn't read it in a year, I should really get rid of it because I wasn't super interested to begin with, but it ended up being free at the right time. And then the family Chow, because I haven't read a mystery in a while and I feel like I could use that fun in my life at the moment. But this one I have also heard is plotty, so they could both be good. What do I do here? What do I do? Sometimes I do pick two, like I have a primary and a secondary. I don't know if I'm gonna do that now because my reading has been a little slower lately. I think I'm gonna go with this. Let me know if you think I should go with something else. I might change it, but I'm gonna go with this for now. So I'm gonna read the Latinist in my February TBR. Again, you won't see a TBR video because I won't have time to put one out, but I will be reading the Latinist and we'll see how this goes. So I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.